Well, hello and word up, everybody who's watching. Hey, this is your boy Jedi Granville. Welcome back to Jedi Granville Productions. I gotta say, this week started off a little rough. I mean, it started out pretty well, and then it went kaput because of technical difficulties beyond my control. I mean, hey, that's life. But thank you for joining me now and watching this, and hopefully you enjoy. But before we get started, I want to take a moment. To because the day's Veterans Day, and I feel like I should owe respect to those who have come before and after, who've pretty much laid down the line for our way of life in terms of where we live in great country of America, and let them know that the ones who really made it possible for me to do what I'm doing right now, they don't have to say that they died in vain for it, So let me give a moment of peace, moment of that right quick, because I feel it's deserved to them, in honor of those like my brother, my father, and anyone else who served in the military, male or female, and so on. So let me give a moment of peace. And there we go. We are good. So I think that needed to happen because, like I say, the things we do, we sometimes take this freedom that we have for granted. But I know for myself, I try to make sure I give it to those who actually made it possible for me to do the things that I'm doing right now, which is this and something fun. I want to give it to them. And what I'm doing today in particular is I am counting down my top 10 movie explosions, part deux. And in case you didn't know, deux is two in French. I took up French, but it wasn't that good, but that's beside the point. But yes, this is a second outing of my favorite movie explosions. Depending on how this one goes too, I mean, just like the last one, hopefully I'll do another one, only time will tell. But with that being said, let's get it rolling, baby. So, movie explosions. And I should clarify with the movie explosions that I'm going to present, I should tell you that what is pretty much hint in terms of why I like them. Well, I've had to have watched the film for me to even put them in a category. Otherwise, it wouldn't make no sense. I mean, I've seen many explosions from films, or at least clips from them. But if I haven't seen the film, I can't put it on the list. It has to be. I have to have physically saw the film in order for me to put it on this list. Otherwise, if it's not on the, if I haven't seen the film, it's not going on the list. Like I got a good example, like Cutthroat Island with Gina Davis and what's his name, Madison, whatever his name is. I mean, it's the male lead. He's they're in the film, and there's a great explosion of the pirate ship just blowing the hell up. It's just gone. But yeah, with that being said, I was like, no, I haven't seen that film, and that movie is supposed to be trash to a degree, and this is way before Pirates of the Caribbean came out, so you can understand why I say it. And the explosion that you see, beautiful. Again, have not seen the film, So I can't put it on this list, and I'll never put it on the list unless I see the film itself. But I don't think I'll be seeing that film anytime soon. But the explosion scenes that I have seen, that I have put on this list, I have seen the films throughout, see them from A to the end. So here we go in terms of, from not so much the least. I mean, there's still good explosions, but the top one is exactly what it is. So, with that being said, let's get going. So, first off, the first explosion will be coming from a film that it's like I say, it's the late '80s cheese rant that was going out during the time. I mean, it's kind of funny at the tail end of the '80s. The '80s had action pictures coming out the butthole. I mean, Arnold and Stallone were the referees when it came to this, but afterwards, all kind of people just did their own thing, and this film is no exception. The film is called Tango and Cash, which stars, and I mentioned the latter, Mr. Stallone. He co-stars with Kirk Russell in the leads, and this particular explosion I just like. And just to give a shout out to a friend of mine, not his friend, my brother, DJ Anubis, and we had talked about this on Silver Savants on Oven's channel, and we had talked about the film, and I said, that's a good explanation. And he actually said, well, you ought to put it on a list, if you ever do another one. So I was like, well, Anubis, this one's for you, my friend, and it's a famous scene from the tail end of Tango and Cash, and here it is. It's them. Well, you'll just watch it and see what I'm talking about. No! Yes! Well, there you go. I mean, it's a combination of good stunt work plus a good explosion. But what it was is basically involving them attacking Jack Palance, Bruchette, however you want it. It's kind of French, but it's attacking Jack Palance's stronghold, and they're trying to break it into it to capture the guy because he's the one who framed them for, some kind of odd things as martyrs, just to get him out the way. Well, they say like, well, we ain't sitting silently. We're going to take you out in some kind of way of form of fashion. So they get this hopped up, super vehicle, RV type of machine, as Kirk Russell eloquently say, RV from hell. It is packed to the max with armament, so speak. So they make this jump into the pit, and and like I say, they're not armed. The people who are shooting at them, the henchmen, their vehicles are armed with machine guns and rockets, and one of the rockets pretty much hits them tail end as when they fly up, and you see come down in a fiery ball, blow up as they leap forward, and just come down in a fiery ball there, and it's just beautiful. Just love it. So that's number 10. That's number 10 of the list. Now, number 9 is pretty much how can I say it's is it that one? No, it's this one. This one I actually talked about with a good friend of mine, Mr. Sci-Fi Century, or Daniel Capretti, I think he likes to be called that now. And it's from Howard the Duck. And this one comes at the end of the film. It's where Howard pretty much destroys this particular satellite, facilities, lab, whatever you want to call it. It's a satellite dish, and just see. it's pretty quick and painless, but it's a pretty good effect. And that whole effect was done, as I say, effect was done in miniature. All the sparks and flames and everything where it shoots, that whole sequence was done miniature size. I mean, it was probably roughly like, say, 10. Well, I not say, yeah, about like say 10 by 8, kind of size miniature. And they did it inside, to enclose it, and just blew it up. And the inside part where you see the sparks on the dish, you know, done inside, that was done inside. But for the top part where you see it extended outside, that's a miniature set itself, blowing the top off. And like I say, me, a person who loves miniatures, just visual effects like that is a pretty key thing, because I just love that stuff growing up. And I should say the effects were done by my favorite company, if anyone doesn't know, Industrial Light and Magic. So there's an effect that is pretty well done for the time. I mean, this movie came out in '86, so and I should say most of these films are pretty retro, because some of the stuff that they do now is somewhat not so great in terms of effects. But moving on and moving forward, we go to number 8, and this explosion comes from a '80s version of a blaxploitation film. And in case you don't know about that, it's one of the few. It's a film that stars Carl Weathers, Vanity, and Craig T. Nelson. It is Action Jackson. And like I say, I was mentioned before, the action, '80s action fest was going on hard between '85 and '89. And there was a lot of them coming out at this time. So this is a moment where, this particular scene is, well, check it out. Yes. It's moments like that that just make me giggle, I mean, because when I say giggle, because I just love explosions, I just love that kind of stuff. That's a moment in the film where, and it's kind of a complex moment, because you figure, like, why are someone just getting randomly blown up, whatever. Well, it tells of these guys, these assassins, who are Craig T. Nelson's force, assassination force, called the Invisible Men. They're sent out to pretty much assassinate people that Craig T. Nelson's Delaplane character doesn't want to kind of infiltrate, or kind of like be, how can I say, be some kind of force that's going to deny him to do what he wants to do. Well, he sends this crew to take out this particular head of automotive society, and he feels like those are a wall that's going to be blocking him. So he feel like, well, instead of trying to negotiate with him, I'm just going to blow him up, just kill him, And it's just crazy how some people think like that, and well, go figure. But hey, moving on, we are going to the next one, and I'm trying to make sure I'm getting the right one here. Hold up a second. Is that the? I think that's the one. Let me make sure. Hold up. Okay, that's that one. That's that one. I think that is the one. Yes. Okay. Now, as I mentioned before, I don't think that's the one. Hold up. Let me make sure. Hold up a second, people. I'm sorry. I want to make sure I'm getting the right ones here in order. Let's see here. It's no, that's not it. Okay, I think this is the one. Well, number 7 is going to be, I believe, it's this one. Yes, I do believe it's this one. In fact, let me see. I ought to know which one it is, but it's so many. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes, that is. Yeah, okay, that is the one. At least I think it is. Okay. Well, this one is number 7. If I'm right with this one, I'll let you know. But let me just show it. Ah, yes. Yeah, this one is from Ricochet, and I'll explain to you. This that was okay. I was kind of wondering, was that the right one? I mean, because I had them in order, but I mean, I guess, yeah. Well, it deals with a building, but yeah, that was 1991's Ricochet, which was produced by Joe Silver and directed by Russell McClanahan, and stars as you saw, Denzel Washington and Jonathan Lithgow. And it's kind of funny because the film is dealing with the rise and fall, or at least the rise of someone quicker than someone else in terms of fandom. And uh, I mean not Kirk, um, Denzel Washington's character, he's Nick Styles. He is someone who's becoming a lawyer, a big, kind of in politician kind of as kind of individual, and he's becoming more bigger as time progresses. But he captures when they first meet him and John Lithgow's character meet. He takes out Lithgow's character. He goes to jail. He sits there rotting for a good 5 or 6 years, and I guess in time he just like it builds up a tremendous revenge mode. It's like it affects his brain so much. He's like, I'm going to twist this person's life around by destroying his credibility. So in the midst of all this, he does get out, breaks out, and starts defaming Denzel Washington's character quickly. And when Denzel sees that he actually has killed somebody that his friend and you know confidant, he just goes off on a tirade and say, you know what, okay, you say that I am such a bad hiccup to you, well, I'm going to bring you out and show you how menacing I can really be. So he goes to the top of this building, which used to be part of Ice Cube's lab. And in the midst of all that, he decides to light it on fire and pretend like he dies. Letting John Lithgow's character think he dies, actually, which he doesn't. He just tricks him. And as you saw, he goes like, Lithgow's character is like, no, you're supposed, because Lithgow wanted his character to live to go to jail. That was why he discredited him. He wanted him to suffer like he did for them years, which is only 7 years. But I guess being in prison is it's a vice that really, does something to you. And with him, he didn't necessarily want to kill him. He wanted to see him suffer. And it shows how like, ooh, he's really, crazy. But that was number 7. I know I'm trying to remember, is that this part or that part? And I thought I had a strip, but all the other ones I got though, and this won't be the only film that is involved in Denzel. It's stars Denzel Washington. There's another one on here, but we'll get there when we get there. So on to number six. Yes. Here's a early 90s action picture, which is kind of interesting because it is a film that is done by Clint Eastwood and stars Charlie Sheen before his days of winning moments came into play, and well, we already know where that went. But anyway, this is The Rookie, which was released in late 1990, and stars, like I said, to mention Sheen and Eastwood. And this is a moment of that I just love. It's an explosion that I feel like it's not unheard of, and I think this might have been the blueprint for a lot of future action pictures later on in the coming years, because some of the stuff that's in here has been done. There's a moment in the film where there's a highway chase that's been done to death. I mean, James Cameron did it, Michael Bay's done it, other particular directors have done it, and the funny thing is, this was something of a different shade for Clint Eastwood to be doing, in terms of action, because before all this, I mean, he's done surprisingly slight action, but it's nothing to this degree. I think he just got into on the bandwagon to say, well, if I'm going to do action, I'm going to kick it up a notch. And right here is where he kicked it up at the notch at the tail end of the film. And this is the explosion that pretty much does me such favors in terms of enjoyment. There we go. Yes, that's a marvelous scene there from The Rookie. It's pretty much at the tail end of the film, but it's how can I say, just a trip in what it does, because it's showing, them escaping an exploding building that and it stars the late Raul Julia, who sadly passed away 4 years later after this film, sadly, but hey, he's a car theft aficionado, and he has one of his goons, rig the place to blow up so there wouldn't be no evidence. Well, there goes a big part of the evidence, which is Clint Eastwood and Charlie Sheen's character, and they get in his car and jump out the window, and well, there you go. Beautiful explosion. I love that. So, but on to number 5, we are at the tail end of, how can I say, yes, we're at the we're halfway there. We're not doing too shabby here. Thought it'd be shorter, but it's going pretty well for right now. So on to the next one. Now, as anyone would know, if you watch enough movies, you will see something that's going to catch your eye, and you feel like it's deserving of, honoree of whatever. Well, this one is no exception. This comes from a kaiju film, one in particular called GMK, All Monsters Attack. And I love this particular sequence here. This is a moment in the movie where Godzilla gets blown or gets hit by this energy beam from Ghidorah, who's been powered up by Mothra, who's been, taken out. It energizes him, and it throws Godzilla into the water, but not without blowing up this entire pier that you see. And it's, like I say, to me, this is just like one of the best pyrotechnic films in the Godzilla arena, because there have been some in the past, back in the Showa, back in the Heisei, and this is the Millennium one. But this one, pretty much is one of the top of lists of terms of stuff blowing up. Yeah, that's that's a moment where, as I say, he gets hit by this energy ball, almost like a Dragon Z ball, like beam from Ghidorah, and he gets knocked out into the port. I mean, knocked into the water near the port, but not without taking the port with it in that particular melee. And as you say, just decimates the area. I mean, funny thing is, I've seen the behind the pictures of this particular moment, and that's all a large scale miniature done at Toho. And like I say, they got it set up. I'm pretty sure there was nobody in the suit. It was probably just a suit, empty suit being blown away into the water and everything. But the rest of the pier is just pretty much decimated. Just blown away. And I say I love this, and that's why I say GMK. It's one of the better. I mean, even though people have their knick-knack about what they feel about that film, it's just okay. But I feel it's a very well structured film because, like I said before, it's got a lot of explosions in there, and this is one of my favorite ones of the bunch. And it goes without saying, it does the job well, very well. So, moving on to number 4, because we're getting close to the end here. Number 4 is something from because I mentioned 2 of the diehards in my previous top 10 explosions, but there was an explosion from Die Hard 2. This is from Die Hard 2 that I feel it was mentioning. But if you watch it, you'll realize, like, why should you like this particular scene? But you realize it's an effective moment. It's an effective moment, and, well, you'll see what happens here. So, let me roll it. The reason why I didn't choose that the first time because people do perish, unfortunately. And it's funny because when I saw this film in the theater 35 years ago, that showed my age right there. When I saw this movie in the theaters, I was thinking, like, okay, it's going to be the typical where the hero saves the day in some sense of the word. And it's like, he's going to save the day. He's going to manage to save this plane, from crashing. Yeah, well, that showed right there that you never know what's going to happen in a Die Hard film. I mean, you might have an idea, but when you see it go a different route than you thought it would, it lets you know it's like, yeah, that you're not ready for what's about to come. And this was exactly what happened when I saw this. I was like, he tried. McClane tries to rescue the plane by being on airstrip, and unfortunately, they don't see his signal, and they hit head on into the ground. And as you see, it explodes, and yeah, it's horrific because you can see the people inside. They're screaming. It's like, yeah. But at the same time, the explosion that you see is very effective, and it makes its point. And it's as I say again, it's a very horrific moment. And I mean, I wouldn't put it on the list, but I mean, I'm putting it on for the explosion itself. But I feel like that's the purpose of effects. It's supposed to enhance the story And this definitely enhanced the story enough because it lets you know it's like this shows how vicious the character, the villains really are. This is Bill Sanders' character who does this, and he has no so-called, remorse from doing this. He's a traitor to his own country, and he's doing this. And it's like, wow, that's crazy, you know. But then when it happens, though, it just fuels McClane's character to say this guy's got to be taken down. And as what I showed in my previous explosion, um, you see that him and his goons get blown the hell up in a jumbo jet, and it's like, yes, justice for the people who died for this, for this madman. But yeah, well, aside from all that, from what happened, the explosion itself was all done in miniature, in case you didn't realize. And I mentioned, ILM before, and who did the effects for Howard the Duck. Well, they did the effects for this film also. They did the effects for the crashing scene, all the plane sequences. They built the miniatures and all that, and that miniature of the plane was about nearly 30 feet. So gives you that sense of reality in terms of the size of it and the weight. So when you see it crash, it's like, okay, it's hitting the ground the way it should. Well, you never want that to happen in real life. Real life is way worse, but you want to see how effective that is, to where something that gets destroyed, has that weight. And this is way before, CG was coming into play back then, but I feel you can still, in fact, I feel that doing stuff practically like this, I hope it never goes out, but I realize with the technology they have, they're getting there where you really won't need, practical sets or miniatures anymore. It's a sad coincidence, but yeah, that's how things are, so, but you move on. But that was number 4. And here we go with number 3. And again, here's another example of a film where it involves human casualties, human collateral, and it involves an explosion. And this is another joint that stars Denzel Washington. This is 2006's Deja Vu. And this is amazing. This is the moment where an explosion happens at the very beginning of the film. That's really to get you loaded up for what's to come. And it's another horrific moment, but effective. And the explosion, well, see for yourself. Yeah, I figured that's enough right there. Yes, and as you say, there was a few people that dodged in there, but the effect is very convincing, and that was all done. And that was this is a Tony Scott film, so he's going to do things practically anyway. But that was a full size explosion done in Louisiana after the tragic Katrina situation. They was able to do the film after the fact that once Katrina, and if anyone knows about Katrina, we know what went down. But the film shows where this particular bomber, who is Jim Caviezel, he plants a bomb on this boat. And there's a lot of things that go on. And just in case you didn't know, Deja Vu is actually semi-crime drama / action sci-fi. And you wonder where the sci-fi comes in, but I won't tell you how that sci-fi works. I'll just say that the explosion motivates Denzel Washington's character to do something about that. So with that being said, yeah, that was all a practical shot. That was a real, and believe it or not, that was a real ferry that they used in New Orleans that gets blown up, or at least that had been fixed with, you know, gas tanks and everything in positions where the, explosion, expands out and everything. And whatever was kind of scorched, they fixed it up. And the thing that the ferry that they blew up was back working like 3 years later. So it's all for show, but it's a very effective, show. I'm showing that what the rest of the film is going to be like. So, but that was Denzel. I mean, that was Deja Vu with Denzel Washington, and that was number 3. So we got two more, and these are pretty much the things that you just wonder what's going to come next in terms of, explosions and whatnot. And this one, number 2, this explosion comes from a Bond film. And like so many Godzilla films, Bond films have had a hit and miss of who likes this or who likes this more, blah blah, who doesn't like that as much. And this one, it's okay. I mean, I'm supposed to be doing a with Olvin and DJ Anubis at the end of this month, where we're going to be talking about our top 10. Well, not top 10. The top. What's the least favorite to the top favorite Bond films? And this one is, if you ever watch his channel, Olvin's channel, I won't tell you exactly where this leads at, but it's where it's at. But what happens here, this explosion here, is just check it for yourself. Yeah, that was. In fact, let me just play it again. Yeah, that's. I think you had to see it twice to make it sure it's nice. It's it's Bond who's doing, and this is it's, if you see it, he's doing a wheelie with a tanker truck. That's one thing. See, that's one thing I can say about the Bond films before the 90s. Everything before the 90s, they did pretty much practically. Eddie did everything practically. I mean, the scene in The Man with a Gold Gun where the car does a flip on the dismantled bridge, doing that and other things. It's like, dude, they made the impossible possible. And this is no exception, where they get the truck on its side doing a wheelie like it does. But that aside, he does the wheelie. Bond's character does the wheelie in the truck, and the guy shoots this Stinger missile trying to blow him up, but inadvertently hits the truck that's been dismantled by Bond, and boom, dude. I mean, it's gets blown away, I mean, it gets blown away just like everything else, And it's a many explosions in this film too, I gotta say. And I gotta say, it seemed like it should have done better box office wise, but it didn't. It is. But to move on from number 2 to the final one, and okay, we are really I guess the last one was last list I did. It lasted like over an hour, which I'm surprised it did, but I guess this was a little quicker, and that's okay. Sometimes you don't need to last too much on these little lists. I mean, just say what you got to say and move on. We are at number 1, and I have to say This was something I mentioned in my previous one where I said it was a honorable mention, and my good friend Mr. Kevin Lambert of Entertainment Headquarters, saying like, I'm surprised that wasn't number one. Well, Kevin, this particular scene is number one. This is from Independence Day. And if anyone knows Independence Day pretty well, not the holiday, but the movie, this moment here is both exciting but frightening, but hell of a lot of stuff going on. So, and it's just a taste of what happens in the film. So, yes, and that was for you, Mr. Lambert. Yes. And like I say, that's that's a small taste of what goes on. And there's many more explosions in that film, but to me, I think this solidifies what this movie's all about. Shit getting blown up real good, buildings and whatnot. And to explain to you about the pyrotechnics done in this film, especially that moment where the this aliens heat beam shoots down and blows stuff up. All that was done in miniature. I mean, when you see stuff blowing up in the in long shots, miniature. And the crazy thing is the moment where, in fact, let me go back here. This at this moment, this shot right here. Let me just stop it right there. This shot right here. Now, when they did this, someone said, we could probably do this computer, blah blah blah. But the producer of the film and co-writer Dean Devlin said, I think we could do this in camera, all this in camera. And what this is nothing more than a miniature set tilted at a kind of angle for this particular shot, and they blew up, a fireball going across it, and blowing it up. It gives that effect that it's a cascade of fire, a blast coming towards camera, but it's done on its. They put it on its side, and see what the camera sees, the eye will believe. It's an old magician's trick, basically what it is. And like I say, all that was done miniature wise and just in camera shots. And all they did was sweeten it with little optical and digital, manipulation. And that was it. That was all they had to do. And it's truth be told, it's the reason why the film won an Academy Award for visual effects, and like I say, it was well deserved. I feel like this kind of stuff shows why, a lot of films today, I think they're kind of like the mystique of it is kind of lost. I mean, you still, I mean, let's be honest, yes, the first Avatar was good. I mean, enjoyed it, but the second one and this third one that's coming out, I can't really say I give it too much hype. That's just me personally. Maybe because I'm old school and I like the stuff that was done. That was a combination of the real with the digital, and gives a better effect. But unfortunately, that's not how it is anymore. And I think this is one of the few, films that pretty much, because this came out in 96, and anything after 2000s, you still have practical effects, but nowadays everything's being done digitally most of the time. People like maybe like Christopher Nolan, or even um Del Toro, he's doing things practically, still doing it. But they're the last unsung heroes when it comes to old school stuff, and well, as I say again, it's a sad occurrence. And these films here that I've mentioned, they're just showing what exactly has become of, especially Hollywood. It's like, hey, if we get doing it cheaper, faster, or put it like this, if we can do it without having to do a lot of manpower, it's like, yeah, this is where you become weakened, in my mind. And I don't want to get too political about this. I mean, that's just a person's observation like myself saying this. But that was my part Deux top 10 movie explosions. And I really hope y'all enjoyed that. I hope y'all enjoyed those scenes. And see, I just got a love for this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm, as I mentioned before, I'm a movie geek. Always have been since I could crawl. And it's kind of funny how I'm so juiced up when it comes to stuff like this, But it's just how it is, man. It's just who I am, and that's just my persona. And if a chance I do another one of these, yeah, I think I will. I mean, it just depends on how, jazzed up I am again about it. If someone suggested that you ought to do another one, yeah, just might, because there's plenty of movies that's got many explosions. But again, I have to have watched them before I can add it on the list, because if I don't see them, I can't do it. So, but as far as that goes, I to say what I got in the future in terms of, on my channel, if anyone was watching my To Live and Die in LA podcast or live stream this past Sunday, and you saw that I had technical difficulties, well, I'm probably going to do a take two of that, because I really want to talk about the film, and what happened was just a disaster. I mean, I guess that's also life intervenes. You can't do nothing about it. It just happens that way. But I'll try to do it again at a later date, and y'all know when you see it, and everything. And hopefully DJ Anubis will be there for me to do it, because he wants to talk about it himself. Now, coming this Saturday, I will be discussing a film with I mentioned Kevin Lambert and mentioned DJ Anubis, and we're going to be on Kevin Lambert's entertainment headquarters discussing, reviewing the movie that recently came out, Predator Badlands, which I particularly enjoy, and I'm pretty sure we'll bring up the pros and cons of the film, but that's to be said when we get there, And as far as that goes, nothing really particularly special as far as on my channel. I mean, I think I pretty much got everything covered as far as that goes. I think that's pretty. Oh, yes. That's right. I'm going to be maybe not this coming Sunday. I think it's next Sunday. I'm thinking it's next Sunday. Make sure. Yes. This coming Sunday, I will be on Owen's channel with mentioned DJ Anubis, where we're going to be discussing a Bond film, which I mentioned on here, which is my favorite Bond film, You Only Live Twice. We'll be discussing that, and hopefully you can join in watching that with us, so I'll be on there. And anything else that I have coming up as far as on my personal channel, nothing right now, although something that I'm going to cooking up in the next month coming, you'll have to wait and see. So, but with that being said, I thank y'all who came in tail end of the show. I mean, sorry that it was short, but sometimes you got to be short and sweet with certain things. And I hope you enjoyed this little little blast It's literally because, like I say, I love explosions, and to the degree, I think I'll probably do another one, most likely. But we'll wait and see when that happens, though. Well, until then, I will end this here and say, y'all take care, y'all be patient. And with this, I always say, keep the film legacy alive. Y'all take care now. Peace.